Well, welcome back, folks. I, I posted for for a few minutes that I probably wasn't going to be on tonight, but there's just too much going on, and as always, I can't sleep when I get home, so I'm gonna do a few of these and then try to sleep again. But we get here just more CNN fantasy news. Of course, Cilizza is Donald Trump isn't really going to close the border, probably. So in the title, Cilizza hedges. Then goes on to say, on Tuesday afternoon, President Donald Trump began laying the groundwork to back away from his much publicized threat to close down the U.S. southern border, unless Mexico and other Central American companies did more to limit the flow of migrants, not migrants, illegal aliens, into the country. Mexico has started apprehending more people, said Trump, although he offered no specific data on that point. Chris, he owes you nothing. The border is going to be closed 100%, Trump then said before immediately adding, or we're going to close large sections of the border, maybe not all of it. Let me put it this way to you, Chris. Listen to the original statement. If Mexico, the single country that we have proof is doing nothing to stop thousands of illegal aliens from coming to our border, if they step up and do their job, which honestly they should anyway, because they're beholden to their citizens, and look at Tijuana, look at Nuevo Laredo, Acuna, the border cities. Look at the hell those cities have become. Mexico owes it to their citizens to stop this. And Trump has said if Mexico will do that, we won't need to shut down the border. He said it because, very simply, if Mexico does not do their job, then we know the mother of all caravans is headed our way. So if they don't do their job, we will shut the border down. And it's just as simple as that. The seeming walkback, or at least the first step in a walkback, comes after Trump's initial pledge made via Twitter. Natch, not sure what Natch, set off rank panic among his advisors, many of whom were caught off guard by the president's tweet. Please, Chris, share your sources for how you know what the president's advisors are saying. Trump is being privately advised by multiple people inside the White House. Privately, how do you know about it? Inside and outside the White House, that closing the border is a bad idea. Advisors told him it's not a sustainable option, underscored how it would disrupt the economy, and noted it would anger local border officials throughout the country. Trump sees it a different way and thinks the move could save the U.S. money. Very simply, yes, it could. And very simply, yes, he can do this legally. Given that, it's hard to see Trump making good on his border threats, especially with many of his advisors and leaders in Congress expressing deep skepticism about the policy and political impacts of such a shutdown. Now, I'm going to stop reading here because honestly, I can't stand to read Chris Cillizza's stuff because he is so vehemently anti-Trump. If Trump personally cured cancer with no assistance from a human being at all, Chris would be on TV the next morning crying over how many oncologists are out of a job. Trump walks on water, Chris says he can't swim. It's very simple. Look at the last 2 years. President Trump says something, and immediately the entirety of the country, and in this case Mexico, begin doing everything they can to basically say, no, don't do that, don't do that. President Trump says he will shut the border down. What does the current president of Mexico know that will do? That will leave all these illegal aliens in his country to make life a living hell for his citizens. What does he do then? Naturally, he steps up. They start apprehending and booting people back south of their own border. It is a very smart business move. If you're looking for contractors to build your home and you want to get the best price, you don't say, well, I'm going to think about it and never call anyone. You tell the people in one on one that, well, I'm getting a better quote from this guy over here. It's a business move. You flat out tell them, I'm probably going to go with contractor number 3 because so far that's the best offer. Contractors 1 and 2 instantly see if they can counter. They bring in other amenities. They bring in lower price. Well, I can get you this on the property, or I can put in this this energy saving device, or any and everything they can to get you to walk back, as Chris calls it, your decision. It is not a walk back. It is very literally what Trump said in the tweet. If Mexico does not do their job, which is in their best interest because their citizens are suffering, then we will shut the border down, hanging the burden of this squarely on Mexico, completely and totally on them. It's that simple. If you had people in your neighborhood who were not stopping people from walking through all of their yards to get to your property to party, and you told the people, if you don't start helping this neighborhood stop these people who don't live here from breaking into yards to party, I'm just going to put up a giant electric fence around my property and leave the burden on all of you. That means they'll be partying in someone else's yard. That means all of those people will do their jobs to their own homes, and they will help stop these people from entering and trespassing and trashing the yards. If you don't put up the fence, it's not a walk back. It's, oh, I got the other side of the deal that I wanted. It is quite literally a win-win scenario. Mexico does their job. We don't need to shut down the border. We continue with construction of the wall, and we go on from there. Mexico does not do what they need to do and stop these caravans. We do shut the border, leaving all of them in Acuna, in Nuevo Laredo, in Tijuana. And suddenly Mexico has thousands upon thousands of people stuck in their country at our border. They're northern. And now they have to find a way to get them all back south. What's easier? Moving them from the U.S.-Mexican border back to the Mexican-Guatemalan border, or stopping them before they even get halfway and turning them around? No one wants to admit that Donald J. Trump thinks differently than a politician, and it works. Very simply, it's a brilliant move. It is a business move, not a political move. And that's why idiots like Chris, crybabies like Acosta, and complete morons like every Democrat in office can't see it for what it is. They cry that, well, we're not going to have any avocados. I don't care. I haven't had an avocado since Super Bowl Sunday when my parents rented a movie so we didn't have to watch the crappy game. We got chips and guacamole then. You know what I can do instead of that? I can make cheese dip, and we can do chips and queso. Or maybe I can fry some wings and onion rings, and we can have that. If I never eat another avocado again, that's fine. But you know where avocados could be grown outside of Mexico? California, Hawaii, and Florida. Think of the industry that would produce if all of a sudden, well, we can't get them from Mexico, we will grow our own. How many people would that employ? You see, there's always a side that no one in the media wants to show you, and that's the side that proves this is not the crisis you say it is, or the side of immigration that proves it is the crisis you say it is, like Obama's former acting ICE director said just a few days ago on major network news, where he said it is a border crisis. And you notice that story just fizzled. We have a crisis of conscience in this country that it's been building for many years, but it's reached the tipping point. We have people who sit in a news studio protected by men with guns, who then travel with a guard most likely, and they live in gated communities protected by men with guns. So they live behind a wall, they work behind a wall, those walls are guarded by armed men. Yet they tell us that that is immoral for us, not them. They tell us that enforcing our laws is now racist, when for 8 years they were silent on the fact that Obama was enforcing the same laws, maybe not to the proper level, but he was. They scream that it's unconstitutional for certain things to be done, when it is not, because President Trump's job is, in fact and in complete simplicity, to enforce United States law. It's one of the 3 branches of government. Maybe Ms. Ocasio-Cortez should pay attention here. The legislative branch, of which she is now a part, makes the law, votes on it, And if it passes, it goes to the president to sign into law. He then must enforce that law. That is the executive branch. If a law is challenged for constitutionality, then that goes to the judicial branch, where they look at the law, look at the Constitution, and determine if it is constitutional or not. Unfortunately, we have career politicians and people in the judicial who've been there for 3 or 4 decades who have decided it is in their best interest to keep the so-called elite happy. And now that includes telling the President of the United States he cannot enforce United States law. We're hitting a tipping point, and it is not a good thing. We are either going to turn back or this country will fracture, because we're being overrun with people who care nothing for our laws. If they did, Kate Steinle and Corporal Singh and so many others would still be alive. They cry that, well, we're catching most of the illegal immigrants and we're catching most of the drugs at legal border crossings. You know why? We have thousands of miles of border. And yes, that may be an exaggeration, but we have an exceedingly long border. Why is it that you think we only catch the majority at legal crossings? Because that is where most of the manpower is. You cannot patrol every mile of the border 24/7, 365. And the people trying to smuggle people or drugs in know this. They sit in Mexico, where we can't touch them, until they know we're not there. They then cross unseen, and they spread their drugs, or they bring in their trafficked people, or they take people out. We need to enforce the law. We don't need to change the law. And yes, I've challenged members of Congress and said, if you feel froggy, jump. Propose a new law right now to say our border is no longer a sovereign border between nations. Anyone may cross with no legal consequences. Propose that law. See exactly how fast it's vetoed. And then, when you realize you're not veto-proof, you will have put yourself on record saying, I care nothing for the safety and security of this country. I want to open it up to anyone and everyone, no matter what their agenda is. It's insanity put into motion. And there are 535 co-conspirators in that insanity. Yes, a few are waking up now. But unfortunately, they are in such a vast minority that they literally can do nothing. We have people like Cillizza, like Graham, Gomert, Cruz, Henshaw. We have a few that are working tirelessly to bring us back to what we were just a few decades ago, but they can't do it alone. Next year will be crucial. Otherwise, we're going to continue seeing crap reporting, and we're going to continue to see our Congress rule us as royals and tell us we have no right to complain. But I've talked long enough. Make sure, keep the comments classy and civil. We do not learn from arguments, we learn from a debate. It's as simple as that. Make sure also to like and subscribe so you stay up to date with all the content. I will be bringing up a few rabbit holes I'm planning to go down. Like I said in another video, though, I just get a bit obsessive over it, and I tend to research longer than normal. But I want to be prepared for these. So you'll want to be subscribed, and you'll want to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date. Until the next one, have a wonderful day.